to Hybrid Futures and Digital Day 2021. My name is Katarina Hägg. I'm the Vice President for External Relations at the Stockholm School of Economics, and I'll be guiding you through the conference today. This conference is brought to you by the House of Innovation, which is part of the Stockholm School of Economics, together with the Wallenberg Foundations, the Future of Work Forum, the Swedish Center for Digital Innovation, MISUM Research Center, the SSE Business Lab, and it is also part of the outreach program of two research centers at the House of Innovation, the Jacob and Marcus Wallenberg Center for Innovative and Sustainable Business Development, and the Scania Center for Innovation and Operational Excellence. The House of Innovation is also co-funded by the Erling Persson Foundation. And the whole program is part of Digital Idag, which is a nationwide initiative aimed at raising awareness about digital innovation. We are so grateful to all our partners for supporting the Stockholm School of Economics, the House of Innovation, and the conference today. Just a few household rules. So if you have questions to ask for panelists or moderators, write them just below the screen. There's a window for that. And on the right-hand side, you can interact with other participants via video or chat. If you wish to share reflections about the conference, what you're hearing outside of the platform, please use the hashtag DigitalDay2021. Okay. So the theme for today's conference is Hybrid Futures. Together with representatives from different parts of society, we will explore the relationship that we are all currently developing with artificial intelligence and other technologies. Rather than seeing a big shift from analog to digital, we are smoothly blending into a hybrid life where we are online and in real life at the same time, where we are experiencing things that are physical and virtual at the same time, that are both traditional and radically new. The concept of hybridity is complex. So I'd like to ask you, Magnus Märing, you're a professor at the Stockholm School of Economics, and you're also head of the House of Innovation.
That's right.
That's a name we will be hearing many times today. So first of all, what is the House of Innovation?
Well, the House of Innovation is an ambitious new initiative at SSE, bringing together our research on innovation, entrepreneurship, and digitalization. And the reason we do that is really because we want to mirror reality. What we're seeing in the world is how these concepts and ideas are really intertwining and intermingling, and we feel that it's our research needs to mirror that and to take all these different, really powerful forces into account.
So the concept, as we said, hybridity, you are exploring that in many different parts of the House of Innovation.
Mm-hmm.
It is complex, but can you give us an example? What is hybridity?
Absolutely, and I'll throw an extra example in for free. So, the most simple example is probably, the idea that before COVID, we liked to be in real life meetings, and then we switched into being on online meetings only. And what we're seeing more and more now, we believe, is really the intertwining and intermingling of these two practices. So, quite a few people have probably experienced in the last couple of weeks or months that they are in a real meeting and online at the same time. We're in meetings where we blend online capabilities and meeting people in real life. And another example would be, in your personal life, you going through your day, you use lots of digital tools without even thinking about it. You use a map application to find the way to a new place. You check your subway train in the commuter app. You check on soccer practice for the kids in the afternoon through another app. You use your scheduler. You look for a vacation trip, and all of these things are seamlessly blended into going about your business, and to the extent that the technology itself almost becomes transparent or invisible, right? But if we would take out all the technology, there's a lot of things that would be taken out of your day, if you will.
Thank you, Magnus. So it's affecting our lives every day. It's also affecting work.
Hmm.
And we will now move on to a conversation that will dig deeper in what the future of work will look like. And I'm delighted to introduce Sarah Jack, who is the professor and leader of the Marcus and Jakob Wallenberg Center for Innovative and Sustainable Business Development at the House of Innovation. Um, Sarah's research focuses on the social aspects of entrepreneurship, innovation, and sustainable business. And also, Caroline Berg, a Swedish business leader and the executive chair of the family company Axel Jonsson, a leading business group in the Nordics in retail, trade, and services. Caroline is the fifth generation at the helm of the group and devoted to the idea that business is a key force for change in society. Sarah and Caroline, a warm welcome to you both.
Thank you, Katarina, for your kind introduction. That was very well received. Thank you. And lovely to have the opportunity to work with you, Carolyn. I'm especially delighted that you were able to join us today. So for me to have the opportunity to speak to you is fantastic. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, we thought it would be really interesting if we had a conversation about the work that you've been doing in this area that we're focusing on today, especially around digital transformation and how we might work in the future. If that works for you, I have some questions that I hope we can engage in a conversation about.
Yes, of course.
So to start off, could you tell me about the Forum for Omstilling, or the Future of Work Forum?
Yes. So the forum was started 2018 with a vision to really address the structural change in Sweden due to the technical and digital development, and to focus on the vision of succeeding with this transition as a society, but also for people living in Sweden. And we're a bunch of people who are a small group of people on the board who come from completely different perspectives: business leaders, union leaders, experts, universities, and we are gathered together with this mutual, very different perspectives, mutual ambition to really try to contribute to make sure that we stay strong in the future in terms of being successful in the digital transformation that we're going through right now.
Yeah, we're all kind of being carried along by it as
Yes.
well, which is important. And why do you see that the Future of Work Forum is particularly important for Sweden?
Well, I think we need to be in the forefront in order to be a strong country. So there's one level that's more the macro, making sure that the educational system and our government and business models change in order to be competitive in the future. But also, I think another perspective that I find extremely important is the individual, because this is also about gaining a knowledge and a deeper understanding of what this means to me in my life. And we need to make sure that the entire population in Sweden will get on the train. Nobody should be left behind. We all need to work with our lifelong learning in relation to the digital. And also we need to make sure that we have a good plan for reskilling and upskilling that will be necessary for most people will be affected or are affected.
I think it's lovely as well that you come back to this, not leaving people behind. I
Yes.
think that's particularly important and very Swedish, I think, as well.
Yeah, maybe it is. I do think it's important. I'm thinking about how, as mentioned before, video meetings we did not use, even though the technology has been there for
Yeah.
years and years, and then we needed a push, and all of a sudden everybody's using it. And another thing, Axel Johnson is working within retail and food and services, and have a wide range of companies, but we have food retail as well through Axe Food. And one example is that previously very few people over 70 bought food online. It was like less than 1%. And then last spring, during the spring of 2020, all of a sudden we saw in May that 34% of our people of our sales within groceries online were by people over 70, and that's fantastic. So we've had a period where we all have made frog leaps into the new technology and been forced to, so we can see the potential. But sometimes we need a push or some kind of disruption for it to happen.
But I think it's lovely as well that you can bring that Axel Johnson experience to the Forum for Work as well. I
Yes.
think that's really quite key here, because you can see how it's actually working.
Yes, we do, and we meet about 1.5 million customers every day through our different operations. So it's really a reflection of our society, and how we meet our customers, and how we can create customer meetings where our new tools and new kind of digital optimized customer meetings, how we can develop that is of course super important, and also make sure that we reach out to everybody.
Yeah, inclusive again.
Yeah.
And what do you see the real challenge? Obviously you've got your business experience, which you're bringing to this as well, but what do you see as the real challenge being for firms and businesses in the future?
Well, I do two things. One is the digital transformation and succeeding to transform companies, because all businesses will become tech companies sooner or later if they're not already, to make sure that the digital transformation, that we succeed to transform our business models, so we can make sure to be competitive and be a strong company for the long-term future. This is something that all companies work with in one way or another. And for us, it's meant really to create cultures where we have a strong passion for change and development in order to change fast enough as the technologies allow us, and so on. Huge transformations.
Yeah, and talking about the business models as well, that's interesting, because they can be so different, even for different sizes of businesses as well. So it's
yes, they are
understanding
different.
those. Yeah.
But every single company is affected by the digital. So nobody will get away with it, whether it's a restaurant or a big retailer or a industrial company working with developing stainless steel. Doesn't matter. And the other aspect, challenges for companies, is of course to transform into a new business model for the green transformation, to struggle with the climate change, and to create new ways of working, new business models that's much more so transforming into the green economy.
Yeah.
So those two things, I think, are the biggest challenges right now.
Both kind of come in at the same time.
Yeah.
And what do you see? What challenges? And you've touched on those just now. But what challenges do you see society and our people facing in the future?
I think that one of the most important challenges in society, but also in Sweden in particular, is inclusion. Yeah. For me, I've been thinking a lot about how we can contribute in a even more way to create inclusion through our companies, but in general in society. It's being more polarized, and there are generations growing up in certain areas in Sweden that don't have the equal rights in terms of good schooling and so on. So inclusion is one of our, in addition to the climate change, I think it's one of the most important subjects and challenges that we are facing right now. For example, among ninth graders, only in vulnerable, challenged, socioeconomically challenged areas in Sweden, only 30% have the grades to get into gymnasium. It's really, really sad and difficult. It's something we need to change. And also from a digital perspective, this comes in as well, I think, to make sure that we have a digital knowledge, and the lowest level of digital knowledge should be higher than it is today, and make sure that everybody, no matter where you live in Sweden or where you grow up, you should have sort of a competence and a skills that's needed to be a part of our democracy and our society as well. So it's inclusion from a digital perspective, but also is sort of socioeconomical perspective.
Which of course helps the change.
Yes.
Doesn't it as well?
Yes,
throughout
yes,
all the
yes.
levels. And I suppose as well, the final question from me. How can we all work together to deal with these challenges? You know, I'm obviously sitting at SSE, a university, but how do we actually kind of all come together to deal with these challenges, do you think?
Well, in terms of the climate change, we have the digital tools that we have are wonderful. I mean, we are just from my perspective, we are changing our transport solutions using digital tools, of course, or also into greener, electrifying our transportation, so lowering our emissions, using tools, digital tools and AI, machine learning to optimize our purchasing, for example, or reducing food waste. So that's one thing that we can really use a lot of great technology that we have and make sure that our companies and the businesses will be circular in their and move towards circular economies. And then in terms of inclusion, I think each one of us who has a position where we can really make a difference should. And one is we have a program called Open, first of all, through the businesses. We want to, working with diversity and inclusion is a very important main strategy to attract the best competence and make sure that all the customers feel included and to have employees and co-workers and leaders that are reflect society and to attract the best competence, of course. But also we have a program called Open Doors, Öppna dörren, that creates meetings through a technical platform, a digital platform, of course, matches people, newly established, new Swedes with established Swedes to meet, where you can open doors, share your professional networks, or share a meal. That's something that everybody can do also. So I think each one of us needs to think about what can I do to be make sure to contribute to inclusion, both as a business leader, but also as a citizen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I find that really insightful. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing your thoughts with us. That was very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks.